welcome back to my studio. If you're new here, my name's Morgan and I make all things party and event. And today I want to show you how to put together this balloon number unicorn. It's super cute and comes together really quickly. So follow along and I'll show you how to make it. The first thing I'm going to do is inflate my number balloon. So today I'm using a 40-inch tall number 1 gold foil balloon, but you could use any number you'd like for this design. I'm using a hand pump to inflate my balloon because I think it gives me a little bit more control and I can sneak up on that tautness level of the balloon because we want this to be stiff but not overinflated that we risk popping it. When your balloon is firm but gives just a little bit when you squeeze it and there's still wrinkles along all the edges, that means you've properly inflated your balloon. Now at the bottom of the balloon where that nozzle is, I'm going to lay this 260 balloon uninflated across the bottom of that nozzle and roll it up and tie a knot. This is going to create an anchor point and will be how we attach the number balloon to the base that we'll make in a little bit. In a similar way, I'm going to inflate my gold unicorn horn balloon, and if you don't have access to this mylar balloon, you could always use a gold 260 balloon, twist it up, and use that as the horn for the unicorn instead. Usually I would inflate this balloon and seal it with a heat sealer, but if you don't have a heat sealer available to you, what you can do is twist the nozzle of this balloon really tightly several times and then tie it in a knot. It won't be quite as secure as a heat seal, but it will last long enough to get this unicorn through a party. To make the unicorn ears, I'm going to use a white 260 balloon and put 1 pump of air into it. Tie the end off so it's nice and secure, and then I'm going to take that bubble and bend it in half so that the nozzle and the tail of the uninflated part of the balloon are touching, and then just make sure that bubble is nice and even. Once you've got that, then just tie the nozzle and the tail together in a double knot, and that's going to create the ear. Once you've got that all tied up, take a pair of scissors and trim away any excess balloon and make a second one to match. Let's work on the unicorn's braided mane. I've got 3 metallic 260 balloons here, and I'm going to inflate those till there's only about 1 inch of uninflated section on the end of each of these. Once I've got that inflated, I'm then going to slowly let out some of that air so this balloon is nice and soft. We need these to be really malleable so we can braid them together. And then I just repeated this, so I had 3 balloons that were all alike, and then I'm going to tie all 3 of those nozzles together so that I have 1 piece to start braiding. Now I'm going to show you this over my shoulder so you can see from a first-hand perspective. I'm just doing a simple braid, bringing the outside balloon over the inside balloon. The important thing here is to keep one hand on the upper part of this balloon while your other hand is making the braid. This will help keep the plait nice and flat and keep it from unraveling on you while you're trying to get this braid started. Once you get a couple plaits in, you can let go of the top of the balloon because it'll stay braided. The other thing to keep in mind is make sure you're bending the balloon into the place where you want them. This isn't something you want to braid loosely. You want to put the balloon exactly in the spot where you want it because it'll form into that shape. So go ahead and just keep repeating your braid all the way down until you get to a spot where you can't make any more braids. Once you get to that point, pinch your braid between your thumb and index finger really tightly, and then take one of the remaining balloon tails and wrap it around all 3 of those balloons right where you were holding it, and that will secure the balloons in place so that we can nip the ends of the remaining tails and let all of that air out. Once you've got that done, you can just tie all 3 of those tails into a simple knot and trim away any remaining balloon. To crown the unicorn, I've made 4 of these 6-petaled flowers out of metallic balloons, and if you'd like to learn how to make some of these 6-petaled balloons for yourself, I have a video tutorial on how to make them linked below, so check into that, and let's move on to making our base. The last balloons we need to inflate are 8 11-inch balloons that I'll size to 8 inches a piece using my sizer box and this electric inflator. So 4 of those are going to be in metallic pink and 4 of those are going to be in white. And I'm just going to fully inflate those balloons and then press it up against my 8-inch hole in my sizer box and slowly let air out of it until it just fits through that hole. And that way I'll know all of these balloons are 8 inches each, and that'll give me a really nice consistent sizing and a great look for our base. So I'm just going to go ahead and inflate all of those, and then we need to turn them into quads. So I'm going to take 2 balloons, wrap the nozzles around twice, and tie them in a simple knot, and this is going to create a pair. we need to make a second pair in the same way and then bring both of those together into a quad. So I'm going to lay them across each other so that the nozzles touch, and then I'm going to twist a balloon from each of those pairs together, and that will lock all 4 balloons together into a quad. So once you've got all 4 of these set, we're going to do the exact same thing with our 4 white balloons, making them into a quad as well. To give the design some stability, we need to add weight to the bottom of the design. So I'm using this 11-inch balloon that I filled with water, so it's about the size of a tennis ball. And I'm going to take the nozzle of the water balloon and tie it to one of the nozzles from my white quad. Now once I've got this attached, I'm going to flip this over so that the water balloon is basically facing down towards the floor. And this is going to give us some nice stability for a design, and it'll be less likely to tip over. To finish off the base, I'm going to tie on our pink quad right to our white quad. So I'm just going to take one nozzle from each of those quads and tie them snugly together. We want to make sure that the quads are nestled together, so the balloons on the top quad should be sitting right between the balloons of the lower quad. And now we're ready to bring in our balloon number. So earlier we added that 260 balloon right to the bottom of our balloon number, and we're going to use that now to attach the number to the base that we've created. So place the number right on top of our base, snuggling it down between the balloons, and then you're going to pull that 260 taut and wrap it in a figure 8 pattern between multiple balloons, and then just let it go. It'll disappear into the inside of the design. I'm then going to rotate it around and do the exact same thing with the other end of that 260. It's important that the number is really snugly placed between the base balloons, because if it's not tight enough, it may start to fall over as we add the embellishments on top. With the core elements in place, we can now focus on turning this balloon number into a unicorn, and I'll be attaching all of my extra pieces using some glue dashes to make that process really easy. The first element I'm going to add is the unicorn horn. I'm going to center it right on the very top of the one, although you could always put it more front facing to give your unicorn a different look. But I'm going to go ahead and center it right on the top of that one, as it's going to be the center point of this design. Now once I attach it, it will flop forward a little bit, but don't worry too much, because as we continue to add balloons, everything will stabilize. Whenever I'm adding a new element to the design, I like to hold that element up where it's going to be so I can visualize the placement and make sure it looks correct in the overall design, and I can also see where the touch points will be between that balloon and the balloons next to it. As you can see here, as I'm placing the ear, I can see where that balloon is going to touch between the ear and the number, and right at that point, that's where I'm going to place my glue dash, making sure I get a good adhesion and everything stands up nice and straight. Once both ears are attached, we can move on to attaching our braided mane. Now I want the mane to start behind the ears to help hide the mechanics of where we've attached it to the number, and then I'll bend it around the side of the number and attach it to the front side. So I'm going to put a little bend in the braid so it can help make that turn from around the ears to the front side of the balloon. And I'll start attaching the mane on the back side with a couple of glue dashes between the mane and the balloon number itself. And once I've got that secured, I'm actually going to secure the ears and the unicorn horn directly to that mane, and the connection between those two things is going to help the ears and the horn stand up straight. Once those are secured in place, I wrapped the rest of the braid around the number and attached it directly to the front side of my one, putting a glue dash at the very end of the braid and then one right in the middle just to hold everything in place. I then crowned the unicorn using 3 flowers across the top, making sure those flowers overlapped a little bit and hid the bottoms of the ears and the unicorn horn so no one can see the mechanics of how they're attached. The finishing touch is to add that 4th flower to the very end of the unicorn's mane, and this unicorn is ready for a party. I hope you're inspired by today's project and give this a try. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button and subscribe below. And don't forget to check out our Patreon group if you'd like to up your party game. So until the next time, you can check out some of my other videos over here. And remember, stay creative, everybody. Bye!